Good morning. I am Inga Houston with the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for tuning in so early. This morning, we're going to learn about the Restaurant Revitalization Program presented by Darlene Drapkin with the small business.
Rhymes with napkin.
Oh, Drapkin? Drapkin?
Drapkin.
Drapkin.
Rhymes with napkin.
Drapkin. There we go. Sorry. This morning, we're going to learn about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund program. And Darlene Drapkin with the SBA, or Small Business Administration, is going to present. But first, before we begin today's program, I have a few introductions. First, I'd like to, Chambers are business owner resources for the most Chambers are business owners' resource for the most up-to-date information. The Chamber convenes leaders and influencers to foster innovation, champion strong and vibrant business community, and a catalyst for economic growth. And that's why the 5 chambers here in the Tri-Valley have teamed up to present this program. I'd like to first thank Dublin Chamber's board members who are in attendance. We've got Sue Stevenson, wave. Let's see, I lost my place. Sorry, guys. The board is the driving force of our chamber and the backbone of our chamber. And as peers of business owners, they're here to assist you and partner and mentor you and your business for success. And Sue Stevenson is our incoming chairperson and represents Dublin San Ramon Services District. Also, the Dublin Chamber partners with the City of Dublin, and Suzanne Erla may tune in a little while, and she's with the City of Dublin, and she's a great resource for businesses in Dublin. Finally, the Tri-Valley Chamber of Commerce Alliance has partnered to bring you this program today, and I invite my fellow chamber executives or their representative to introduce themselves. So we'll go in alphabetical order. Miss Danville Judy Lloyd.
Hi there, I'm Judy Lloyd. I'm the new CEO of the Dublin, not enough coffee, I guess. The new CEO of the Danville Area Chamber, and just proud to partner with my other fellow chamber CEOs on this program.
Excellent. Livermore.
Yay, good morning, everyone. I'm Dawn Ardila, and I am the CEO of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. And I want to welcome all of you, and I want to thank Inga Houston, CEO of the Dublin Chamber, and my neighboring chambers, and Darlene Drapkin from SBA for helping to put this on to get this information out to our businesses. Thank you.
Pleasanton.
Good morning, everyone. Steve Van Dorn, President and CEO of the Pleasanton Chamber of Commerce. The beauty of Zoom is I'm actually coming to you live from Hilton Head, South Carolina. So welcome, everybody. I want to thank you, Darlene Drapkin, for being here, Inga, for pulling this all together. You guys are awesome. We are the best group of chamber execs in the world. So enjoy this meeting, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Okay, and Stuart with San Ramon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stu Bambino with the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, and I'm live from San Ramon, California this morning. So it's good to see everybody. Welcome.
Welcome. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. Please mute yourself during the presentation, and please wait to be called on when it comes to Q&A. So everyone can hear your question and the comments. And if you want, you can raise your hand or use the reaction tab if you want to clap or something. And if there's time, of course, we will have questions. So without further delay, we want to welcome Darlene Drapkin with the Small Business Administration. And Darlene is the economic development professional specializing in neighborhood commercial district revitalization. She managed her own consulting firm, Urban Transformation, for the last 2 decades, providing services to neighborhoods around the country, including 23rd Street in Richmond and San Pablo. Darlene has an a Master's of Business Administration from American Graduate School of International Management. She is a native Spanish speaker and has conducted business in French and Portuguese. Darlene recently joined the San Francisco Small Business Administration District Office as an outreach and marketing specialist to support businesses navigating these uncertain times and provide resources around all aspects of their operations. Okay, thank you, Darlene, and we're excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much for having me, Inga, and also to all the chambers. It's nice to see such a collaborative effort of all of you guys working together to bring this presentation together for our restaurants and other food serving industries in need. So let's start the presentation because I got to get off right at 9 and hop on to another one of these wonderful webinars. So let's talk RRF. SBA, of course, loves talking in acronyms. So okay, wait, now I don't know how to move on to the next. Oh, there we go. Okay, so RRF, what is it? It's part of the latest act that this administration has passed, the American Rescue Plan Act, which became law March 11th and established the Restaurant Revitalization Act. So far, it's appropriated $28.6 billion. We're not sure how long that funding is going to last. So I'm here today to talk to you because we know that everyone is probably going to be wanting to apply quickly because we don't know if more money will be issued. We know that 186,200 applications have been filed for this since the program opened 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I guess it was on Monday that the website first opened for our businesses to apply. The appropriations remain available till expended. So again, there's a little bit more of a need for people to apply for restaurants and other entities to apply as soon as possible. The good news is that the funds would be eligible for uses no later than March 11th, 2023. So there's quite a while for the expenses that would be eligible for this fund. So who is eligible? A lot of people in this industry, in the food industry, restaurants, food stands, food trucks, carts, caterers, bars, saloons, lounges and taverns, coffee shops, ice cream shops. Now the next part of this on this point, starting with bakeries, that one is based on also some of these. We know that bakeries and brew pubs and wineries have also a wholesale component to their business. So what we're doing is also, if there is a public component where you sell to the public, 33% of your receipts must be for public consumption. So those entities are also eligible as long as 33%, a third of their receipts is for public, is sold to the public. Okay, are we waiting for questions to the end or how are we going to do this, Inga? I'm going to just keep on talking, right? And hopefully we'll have time for questions.
Yeah,
so,
probably to the end, or people can pop a question in the chat, and if it seems appropriate with the topic, then.
Okay, great. Who is ineligible? Nonprofit, state or locally operated businesses. As of March 13, 20 owns or operates. Together with affiliates, no more than 20 if they own more than 20 locations, they are ineligible. Publicly traded companies are ineligible if they're permanently closed, and this permanently closed, we'll discuss about what that means, because if they were temporarily closed during the pandemic and they're now reopened, they do qualify. But if it's permanently closed, they will not be eligible. Okay. How much is the fund? And now when we talk about a fund, it's really truly a grant. This is not funding like that will need to be repaid. So in effect, when you apply for this, this is money that you get to keep. It's not a loan at any % interest or anything like that. So the SBA may provide funding for up to $5,000 per affiliate, not to exceed $10 million per applicant. The minimum award is $1,000. So when we do the math, if it's not worth $1,000, then you should not apply. So really the amount that restaurants, and I'm just going to speak as in general as restaurants, even though we know there are many other entities that might be eligible, but the amount is between $1,000 to $5 million. Okay, so how is this different for anybody who's doing, if any of you are familiar with the Shuttered Venue Opportunity Grant, which is a little bit more complex because the business needs to be registered in a government system called SAM. This one is not as complicated. It doesn't have a lot of, or it doesn't require DUNS numbers or cage identifier. And if anybody's applied for SVOG, they know that it had a lot more complexities to the application process. This one is a lot simpler. The other thing is that we are using valid ITINs. If anybody knows what an ITIN is, it's typically the number that is assigned after you do your income taxes. So we are accepting valid unexpired ITINs, which means like the last 3 years of your income tax returns, and that's typically where that number is assigned. And you're able to look it up on these links below. Who is eligible? Pretty much most organizational structures are eligible. You see the list here, and by the way, this presentation has been made available to Inga, so she can share it with all of you if you'd like access to it, so you can review it. But it pretty much is most organizations are eligible.
Darlene?
Yes.
Franchises. Oh, who's eligible? That's the next question. Sorry.
You read my mind. Okay, any business concern operating as a franchise and meeting all other program requirements is eligible. The franchise must be listed on the SBA franchise directory, and if you need access to finding out how to get to that, please let us know, but I think you can probably Google it and find it. In the application portal, applicants will be able to look up their entity in the SBA franchise directory. Does that answer the question there that was being asked about that?
Yes.
For brands not listed, we can revisit it, and you see here that there's there is some other things to look at for franchises, but I don't want to get too deep into that, but check back in if that is of concern. Regarding bankruptcy, applicants that are operating under an approved plan of reorg under Chapter 11, 12, or 13 and meet all the program requirements are eligible. An applicant is not eligible if they're permanently closed or they filed for Chapter 7. And again, that permanently closed does not include businesses who temporarily closed their doors due to the pandemic, but are still in operation and have reopened. Okay, so how paycheck protection plan. I suspect that a lot of our public may have also applied for PPP, which has been a tremendous program. So any funds that were received through PPP will be subtracted from the applicant's final funding amount. Okay, and one of the things I do want to mention is that yesterday it was announced that the PPP program has ended. If you already have your application in the system, then they're probably still funding it. Originally, the program was supposed to go through March 31st of this year, and it was extended until May 31st, but that was based on funds being available. It has now closed. So it's going to be even more important for restaurants to look at this alternative source of funding. Now, if folks still have a PPP application in the system, when they apply, they should withdraw any outstanding PPP application. But again, those PPP loans that you got will be deducted from your final RRF award. So this is the main thing that comes up in the application of how the SBA is asking that you self-certify, that all applicants that must certify that current economic uncertainty makes the funding request necessary to support ongoing or anticipated operations. That is really truly what you are attesting when you apply for these funds. So what are the eligible uses of the funds? And this is the list here, and so I'm going to go through all of them because it's important to note. The business payroll costs, including sick leave, business utility payments, business maintenance expenses, business supplies, including protective gear and cleaning materials, business food and beverage expenses, including the raw materials, covered supply costs, the business operating expenses, which include insurance, marketing fees, legal, licenses, point of sale equipment. So as you can see, it's a very complete list of a lot of the expenses are eligible. Construction expenses, all of that construction of the outdoor seating that all of us have been enjoying in the last couple of months is also eligible. What is not eligible are the expansion costs. So the SBA is going to be looking at whether the expense that you are claiming is one where you're actually expanding, or maybe you're adding another wing to your restaurant, or maybe paying for some new equipment. So be aware of that. Okay, business debt payments that is eligible is payments on any business mortgage obligation, both principal and interest. This does not include any prepayment or of principal or interest. Business debt service both in principal and interest. It does not include any prepayment of principal or interest. This is where I think it's really important to work with your accountant, with your CPA, to sort out some of these expenses and how you're going to apply. So when do I have to use the funds? I have already mentioned that the funds must be spent on expenses that were or that are incurred between February 15th, 2020 and March 11th, 2023. It is very flexible. Now, if the business permanently closes after receiving the funds, the covered period will end when the business permanently closes or on March 11th of 2023, whichever occurs sooner. Any funds that aren't spent on eligible expenses by the time the covered period ends must be returned. Okay, the use of funds assessments after the total award funds have been exhausted, entities must provide a detailed expenditure report and certification for the required period. I'm going to mention to all of you that the reporting mechanism is still being reviewed. SBA still needs to provide additional guidance that outlines the detailed reporting requirements in the upcoming weeks. So stay tuned. I know a lot of people are wondering, what do I need to report? I think in an effort to get this program going, the SBA has not worked out a lot of the details of the RRRF. And that's the good news, because we wanted to get relief to our restaurants sooner than later. But that means that there's a lot of still questions that need to be answered. So until the applicant completes the use of the funds assessment beginning December 2021, applicants are required to provide self-reported unaudited data detailing use of distributed funds each year through 2023. Again, hopefully all of our businesses are good record keepers, but we also know that they're dedicated to providing wonderful restaurants, and that's really their strength. So it's really important to work with a financial person, bookkeeper, that is keeping some detailed bookkeeping and reports on all of this. How do you calculate your potential fund amount? So there's 3 different calculations. 1 and 2 are the easiest ones to do, and I hope I don't confuse you during this period as I talk about it. Applicants that were in operation prior to or on January 1st, 2019, this is the formula. 2019 gross receipts minus the 2020 gross receipts minus the PPP loan amounts. Calculation 2, and this is for businesses that maybe that started in 2020 and 2019 or 2020, right before the pandemic hit. The average 2019 monthly receipts times 12 minus the 2020 gross receipts minus the PP loan amounts. And applicants that began operations partially in 2019 may choose to use calculation 2 or calculation 3, which I'm going to go over briefly in a moment. Keep in mind that calculation 3 requires longer processing times. So what is calculation 3? This is for applicants that began operations on or between January 20th and March 10th, 2021, and applicants that didn't yet open but have incurred expenses. So I've been asked if a restaurant hadn't opened yet, would they be eligible? Yes, because we know that they were preparing, as long as they can demonstrate records that they had been already engaging in a lease, that they had already started a lot of the the preparations to open the restaurant, and then got stalled because of the pandemic. They are also eligible and will require calculation 3, but they can still also apply for RRF. So what do you exclude from your 2020 gross receipts? You do exclude tips. Okay, that is one of the questions that we've gotten. What do you also not include in those 2020 gross receipts? You do not include your PPP loan, and then a lot of these SBA products. If any of you work with the SBA, these are EIDL loan, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. A lot of these relief programs that have been provided. Also, we know there have been some state and local business grants. Those are not included in your gross receipts. So how do you apply? Here's the website, restaurants.sba.gov. We have been told that that in pilot programs that it takes people about 25 minutes. Maybe we already have some in the audience today that have applied and have run into a little bit of some of the glitches because the platform, the website has been definitely overloaded right now because so many people have been applying. One of the things that we've offered that helps folks with getting their gross sales together is the point of sale vendor. And that would include Square. I'm looking at which ones the other ones are. Clover and Toast are 4 of the vendors that we've been working with that will generate the gross the receipts and makes it a lot easier for the applicant because they already can get in an automated fashion their gross receipts. This hotline is available also to the applicants to ask questions. This is another important number to keep handy, 844-279-8898. This is a number that was set up exclusively for RRF to ask questions. Supposedly, we heard that you could apply via telephone. I've been hearing mixed messages or results on this form, but I think the best way is to apply online instead of calling in the information. What documents do you need in order to apply? The main form for this, SBA loves to name all their forms by a number, and this is form 3172, completed, initialed, and signed online. It can be done digitally. The other thing you're going to need, and this is if you ever have applied for mortgages, you know that you need to complete a 4506T so that you can provide income tax transcripts, make those available. So that needs to be completed. Your 2020 taxes don't need to be completed, but it is good. You're going to need information from your 2020 gross receipts, as we've discussed. But they're going to ask you for past income tax that you completed your income tax returns. And then you're going to need gross receipts documentation, any of the following. Your tax returns, your Schedule C's and Schedule F's. You are going to need 3 months of bank statements. And this is not unusual. Again, if you've done any sort of getting loans or mortgages, you know that bank statements are typically requested so we can make sure that you're operating your business that you're current. So other things that are required, again, that form, the 4506T, your gross receipts, your 3 months of bank statements, information, preferred your federal tax returns have been filed, that point of sale report that is generated from one of those 4 vendors that we talked about, or any vendor that you might use to do your credit card, your purchases, your sales, and then accepted, but it may delay the review past 14 days because we are anticipating that the review is taking 14 days. So we're expecting that in the next 2 weeks, we'll start talking about the first awards on this because that's how long they're anticipating it will take them to approve any application. So externally or internally prepared financial statements such as income statements or profit P&Ls signed and dated by the applicant, or also what we call comfort letters as provided by your CPA. For calculation 3, that's where we're talking about more information. You know, I think it's better to provide more information than less to make sure that you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. One of the things I've been letting applicants know is it's so important to get it right the first time, because if they have to come back and ask you for more information, it delays you and puts you at the back of the line for getting the award. So what documentations do you need? What else do you need for applicants? That, remember, we talked about the ones that have 33%, a third of their sales are to the public. They're going to need to provide additional documentation to prove this. Okay. So how do you get help applying? You can go through that call center hotline. If you run into any glitches or anything, you can contact our office. One of the resources that is not mentioned here are your small business development centers for Alameda County and for Contra Costa County. Those are the small business development centers, SBDCs. Sometimes they are funded through the SBA, and sometimes they're a very underutilized resource that is available that can provide you one-on-one advisors, the SBDCs. And the best way to look up the SBDCs is Ask SBDC. And this is a national program based in each county, the small business development centers, and they're there also to provide. There is help available in multiple languages, from what I heard right now, up to 10 languages if needed. The main ones, of course, are English and Spanish. So to finalize the best practices on this, and I think we're doing good on time, so we're gonna hopefully have time for questions, is the best practices is to provide very complete documentation, because applications with incomplete documentation will be rejected. The review process will restart when complete documentation is provided. So we don't want you to be delayed, so it's better to do it right the first time. Leverage your resources. While not required, the use of CPAs, I already mentioned this, and other accounting professionals may help to ensure a complete and well-documented application. Application corrections. SBA is not able to make corrections on behalf of the applicants. Applicants who require corrections will need to contact the center hotline. I'm here to say to you that right now I've got a couple of applicants contacting me that they've been trying to do this through the 844 number and it hasn't worked for them. So I'm still trying to work on that glitch, because I think once you submit it, it's really hard to correct. So let's see. Applicants who still intend to apply for PPP, you're really advised to, well, I think this PPP thing may be a moot point, because it's now, for all intents and purposes, the PPP program is now closed. So let's see. There has been a pilot period that has been occurring, and that's why we knew that it takes that on average it takes 25 minutes to complete the application. But that means that you've already got all of your documentation right next to you to fill it in. Right now, we do have a priority period that is in effect that started Monday. The SBA will accept applications. We are accepting applications from all eligible applicants. However, only applications from small businesses that are owned by women, veterans, and socially and economically disadvantaged applicants will be funded during this period. So these businesses are being given a priority. And then starting on day 22, all eligible applications will be processed until the program funds are exhausted. So what are the priority groups? To define them a little bit more, a small business that is at least 51% owned and the management and daily operations of the applicant are controlled by one or more individuals who are women, vets, and socially and economically disadvantaged. The applicants will be self-certifying on the application that they meet these eligibility requirements. So socially disadvantaged individuals are those who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias because of their identity as a member of a group without regard to their individual qualities. So in a general sense, it's African American, Hispanics, Native Americans, Asian Pacific, or subcontinental Asian Americans. Then there's also some zip codes. some areas that are considered economically disadvantaged. I don't know that that is in the Tri-Valley, but there might be. We'd have to look those up. This would, you can't reorganize your business to now suddenly qualify, but I think you guys all know that. So there are some funding set-asides for applicants with 2019 gross receipts of not more than 500,000. There's some set-asides to try to help the smaller independent businesses, because we know that the larger ones automatically, there's going to be a lot of them, but we want to make sure that the small independent mom and pop shop is getting a crack of this if their funds are not, so that we make sure that they are, we don't give out a lot of $5 million awards and then forget of some of the folks that need smaller relief. That's it. So I've gotten through the presentation and we're here ready for any questions or comments.
Well done, Darlene. 30 minutes. Thank you for this informative program. I do have a copy of the PowerPoint, and I've shared it with our with your chamber executives, so they'll be able to provide that if you want to call your local chamber. I do have some questions in the chat. Why don't we do those? And then if anybody has a question that they'd like to ask without typing it into the chat, they can raise their hand with that little reaction button down at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so the first one is, can you repeat the information for a business that was not open in January 2020, but we're operating in preparation to open? I think that's slide 17.
Can you go back to, do you have it handy? Let me see if I can find it. Let's go back to it.
Slide 17, I think, is the one we're looking at. Oh, you want me to do it?
Screen sharing. Yeah, if you have it handy, Inga, that'd be great.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. Okay, this might be it. Can you see that?
And I think there's also, if you go to the website, sba.gov and then / for restaurants, there's actually a document there that's called program guide that might provide some additional information on this. Okay. As you know, this is just summaries, but I think there's more information in that program guide on this. But yes, applicants that begun operation on or between January 1st, 2020 and March 10th, 2021, and applicants not yet opened, but have incurred eligible expenses as of March 11th, 2021.
Suzanne, does that answer your question? Maybe. Okay, Phil has a question. Can proceeds from the RRF be used to pay back EIDL loans?
I think we had a slide on that too, didn't we, Inga? If you can go back to it, it talked about eligible expenses. I think you need to deduct the idle expenses from your gross receipts, and I don't think you would want to put them down. I think your eligible expenses are your other expenses. I think that is not one of the.
Yeah, I missed that one. I don't know what page that is.
Do you have, okay, I think it's on eligible expenses. It's our main sheet. But yes, right there, you're there.
Oh, yeah, okay. Did I change it?
Is
that it?
You're actually going to be deducted.
Oh, sorry.
There, no. It was going back to the gross receipts. Let me find it. I'm going to go back and find this. But I think for all intents and purposes, you're deducting idle from your receipts, and then I think you're always deducting that. And I think eligible expenses. Let's go back to the eligible expenses page.
Got it? Sorry, I don't know your slideshow.
I know, and I need to put it back up again. I'm so sorry.
That might be
there again.
It's on slide 18.
Thank you.
Slide 18. There we go.
The idle.
Is that it?
Yes, it's excluded from there, so I don't think you come back then. And then there's also a slide on the eligible expenses, which is slide number.
Right here?
Okay. Yeah, that you see this one, business debt.
Yep.
So I think we may need to get a little bit more guidance on that as you're putting together your expenses. I'm sure you'll, I think that is best to work with your accountant on it, on knowing how to itemize the expenses, okay? And if you need more clarity, I don't think I am the person here to help you out with that. I think it's best to call that 844 number, okay? Sorry that I can't exactly answer that question for you.
Okay. And then regarding the PPP, can you clarify your comment? They thought that it was open until May 31st. You want to review
Yes.
that?
As it were, the PPP loans should have been, the program was supposed to have closed on March 31st. And then it stayed open. Then they extended it to May 31st, but it was also on the caveat that if the funds were expended, it would end. And we're expecting the money to run out at the end of this week or very soon. So no new applications are being accepted for PPP. So if some of you have had PPP loans that have been in the system and you've been asked to reapply, you won't be able to reapply because for all intents and purposes, the PPP loan program, all of the funds have now been allocated.
Okay.
And you never know, there could be another new program that comes down the pike. I mean, these are such unprecedented times. It seems like, you know, the Congress is constantly responding to needs and revisiting what is the next program that it needs to do in order to provide relief to our businesses. So yeah, PPP is ending for now. Because remember, we had the first one.
This morning in the news?
Pardon?
Was it announced this morning in the news or yesterday?
It was yesterday was the first time it was announced. So yes, it's being announced now.
So it's
in the news. Oh no, it's official.
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
So, okay, is there any way to find out if any of our local restaurants have applied?
I don't think you know until the amounts are awarded. Then there is a website that you can go to, but not in this immediate. No, there's no way for right now while they're being reviewed.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Because I have exhausted my questions in the chat.
Good morning, and thank you for the presentation. It's very informative. This is Phil Tucker from Congressman Swalwell's office. I do have a question. I have a kind of an unusual constituent who owns a bowling alley. So of course it was closed down, applied for PP1 and PP2 and was funded in both cases. However, there is a section of her business that's a bar and grill that was closed down initially. So that's a separate entity within the bowling alley itself. Would she be able to apply for the RRF funding? And if so, would any PPP funds she received from the bowling alley be deducted?
Yeah, that's always a given. The PPP funds are deducted, but that's an interesting one, Mark, because actually bowling alleys were added that had been excluded from the original mention of eligible businesses. Bowling alleys aren't one of them. They might qualify under this issue of the 33% receipts. Unless they have a separate EIN and it's a separate entity, then it might be able to apply as a restaurant. But if it's part of the bowling, then I think it fits into that, making sure that 33% of their receipts are for food.
Okay, so in this case, 34% of the receipts, of the gross receipts, were attributed to the food service portion
Then
of the bowling alley.
they absolutely qualify. I know that bowling alleys were added recently on it, so yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's great news.
Yes, it absolutely is.
So just a point of clarification, Darlene. So everyone can apply now, and they should, but for 21 days, the ones that were going to be processed are those that fall within those 3 or 4 categories. And then they will circle back with all the other applications after the 21st day.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is absolutely correct.
But don't wait to apply now. You'll just have to wait a while. Okay.
I think that's really important, is that don't wait, do it now, because you want to make sure you get into line to be considered. And again, make sure you do it right the first time, because it'll kick it back out and you'll be back at the end of the line. So there is a lot of I know a lot of these programs need a lot of clarification, because there's changes every day. For example, bowling alleys were not included in the original mix of businesses. And I know that now that one has definitely, because I've been in on some of the chats to clarify that bowling alleys are definitely a contender for the program.
Any other questions? Can you provide a link to look up information about the bowling alleys?
Let me see if I can find something that it's been added to the language. That's constantly is me seeing if there's frequently asked questions. Let me find out if bowling alleys. I can let you know with the certainty that I saw it, that it has been discussed. So, but I'll see what I can find out. The other thing is you can let me provide my email and my phone number so that you're able to reach out to me. My email is Darlene, DARLENE, period, Drapkin, D as in Darlene, RA, P as in Paul, K as in Kelly, I, N as in Nancy, Darlene, period, Drapkin at SBA.gov. And maybe I can write it in the chat. Let me write it in the chat, right?
That, or I can do it.
Darlene Drapkin at SBA.gov. And then I'm also going to put in my phone number.
Awesome.
My phone number is 202-878-0936. And that is my direct line. It sounds like I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm here local. I just have a 202 number. These things have changed so much these days. That was the number assigned to me. So yeah, you're able to contact me too if you need clarification on some of these things. Like I said, that 844 number, that we should also write that number here. That is a number that they've dedicated the line, but remember, some of these people just got hired to help out with this program, so there's still some glitches. I'm not going to deny it to you, but we're trying really hard to unpack this program and make it available to all our businesses that need it.
Darlene, we have another question.
Wait, that's not the number. I just wrote the wrong number. It's 279-8898. Correction. Go ahead, Inga.
Other family entertainment centers besides bowling alleys that have food service, are they included?
If they fit a similar description to the bowling alley, then yes. Absolutely. Again, when they did this list, they forgot certain entities because they're just trying to create rules and law, and application, and sometimes they miss entities. So They're like, oh, we hadn't thought of that. You know, when I'm in on conversations every day, the people at headquarters are going, oh yeah, you're right, that one should be included. So
Okay, so pretty much if they have food service, it's at least 33%, they're probably likely to be included.
yes,
Okay.
that's a good rule of thumb.
I have a quick question, Inga. How long do you think the money's really going to last?
You need to kind of, I guess you'd have to do the math on $28.6 billion, how many businesses are around the restaurants or businesses that fit into this definition around the country. I think the money is going to go, I don't know. This is unprecedented. It depends on how many people decide that they're going to apply for this. Some people hesitate to apply for these government programs because there's a lot of expectation on them, so they may not apply. It's wonderful to be out and see that some businesses are already back in business, functioning and running their businesses, but they've suffered over time, so they may decide that this is worth the program that they want to apply for. I don't know, but maybe just to know that in the last 2 days, 186,200 applications have been received. I don't know how many entities that fit into this category are there around the country. I don't know. We'll know in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I wish I knew this. It's going to be an interesting time to see how many of our businesses are able to apply and can take advantage of this program. So many businesses can really benefit from this program.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, seeing none, our chambers will all have a copy of this PowerPoint shared by Darlene, and we've recorded this program so you can review it and watch it again and share it with, because I know there's a few banks on here. You might want to share it with your restaurant contacts as well. So anyway, that was great. Darlene, thank you for your time. I would like to give my fellow chambers a opportunity to promote any of their upcoming events to everybody that's here.
And I'm just going to make one more point.
Okay.
There are new clarifications and edifications coming in every day. So when in doubt, send me an email and I will do my very best to provide you information. Also, if you go to the website for SBA.gov and restaurants, the knowledge base is being updated every day. New information comes up there every day. Sometimes it's hard to navigate through. So check in with our office because we are constantly trying to get new changes and updating them and trying to stay aware of any new information that comes through. That's all I got. So I'm going to take off. And it's been wonderful to spend this past hour with you and hope to be in touch with all of you soon.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darlene.
Thanks, Darlene.
Okay, so Danville, you had an announcement?
Yes. Inga. So for those that are still on here, Darlene is coming back to us on Monday morning at 8 a.m. and she's going to be doing the presentation again with the latest information in Spanish. And it's again a Tri-Valley Chamber Alliance sponsored webinar. And Martha Espinosa, who is our chamber vice president, who's on the call today, will be moderating that with Darlene in Spanish. Also, other entities are also rolling out this webinar. I know our Livermore Downtown Association is doing one of these tomorrow in the afternoon. I think it's at 2. So there's lots of opportunities for folks to watch it again live. And if not, we will definitely have all of the video recordings posted on our website.
Yes. On Monday, it's at 9, if I'm not mistaken.
9 a.m.
9.
Sorry.
No, no worries.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Monday the 10th.
10th.
Okay, Judy?
You're
Oh,
muted,
muted.
Judy.
You'd think I would learn after 257 Zooms every week, right? We're actually resuming our monthly mixers in Danville in person. And we're actually moving ours back a week to May 20th. So just wanted to let anybody that's also a member at Danville know. We've got to limit it to 50 people, and the first 50 people will be able to enjoy margaritas outdoors at Cocina Hermanas. I always say it incorrectly, unfortunately. So,
Right.
pretty exciting.
Just great job. Thank you, Inga. This is very informative. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. So thank you so much.
Yep.
Awesome. Steve jumped off, but he wanted me to let everybody know that the Tri-Valley Chamber Alliance is working together on a speed networking on May 27th at 3 p.m. So you can sign up at any one of our websites. It'll direct you to Pleasanton. And then the Dublin Chamber is having a program called the Lunch Bunch. And our first one is on May 19th at Jaffa Hummus. Come on down, grab lunch, and take a few minutes to network and visit with your fellow chamber members. Okay.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.